Snow day for adults, maintaining your privacy, and building homes just a little bit differently. North Idaho certainly has its quirks, and today in this video, we're going to go over the 5 things that you did not know about Sandpoint, and make sure that you stay around to the end for number 5. It's a time saver, and it might just save you a little bit of money. Let's go ahead and get started. First up is lack of basements and slab foundations. If you're coming from, say, Texas, Arizona, or California, you're probably used to a slab foundation, and that's because the climate, it's generally a little bit drier. But here in North Idaho, it is a very wet climate, and more specifically, the Sandpoint area. With the high water tables, we see a lot of standing water in the springtime. This is due to the snow melting and running down the mountains. The snow banks, they're finally starting to melt around your house. And then on top of all that, the additional rain that we receive during the springtime. And with the naturally high water table, all that additional water doesn't have anywhere to go. So to help protect your foundation for the house, we generally see houses built on a crawl space foundation. And basically what you have is a concrete stem wall around the perimeter of the house, then a continuous supporting concrete stem wall running down the middle of the house. A good crawl space is going to have about 30 inches of clearance from the floor joist down to the floor, making it very easy to maneuver underneath the home. This allows in the springtime when you do get water coming up from the ground and all that extra surface water, it has somewhere to go, it has somewhere to evaporate or mechanically be pumped out. Now, if you were on a slab or a basement, the potential for water intrusion, your chances just increase a ton. Now, if you happen to be in a very wet location, you can put a sump pump in the crawl space, and this will turn on and pump all that water out of the crawl space and into a ditch. I know, you're starting to think, oh boy, what about mold? You're going to have mold in your crawl space. But if it's done correctly, properly, you won't have any issues with mold, I promise you. There are vents that go around the foundation that you open up in the springtime, and that allows air to come in from all around the house, and that's going to help keep the mold out. Plus, you can get a vapor barrier, and I strongly recommend if you buy a house and you don't have it, get one installed, because that is going to help keep the moisture out of the crawl space as well. And this is why you won't commonly see basements in Idaho, because it's hard to keep the moisture out with all this extra water. That and the cost to construct a home with a basement is generally more expensive than building a second story. Now, a major benefit of having a crawl space for a foundation, if you need to make a repair or change around the plumbing or the electrical systems, it is very easy to do so because it's all accessible to you. My name is Ben Geanetta. I'm a real estate professional and team leader of Elite Realty Partners right here in North Idaho. And if you're planning to make a move to the area and you want to learn everything that there is about eating, sleeping, working, playing, the good, the bad of Sandpoint, then make sure that you subscribe down below and you smash that bell icon. You can also find my calendar link in the description below, and you can schedule a one-on-one meeting with me to discuss this video or anything else related to North Idaho. Now let's go ahead and continue on down our list. Let's talk about snow days. Now, this just isn't for children, so adults, make sure you're paying attention as well. If you have kids and you won't be homeschooling, then expect school to be canceled. The school districts, they anticipate so many days to be canceled due to snow or winter storms. And that's typically about 2 to 5 events in a given school year. And because of that, if it is a mild winter, go ahead and expect school to be canceled due to weather when honestly, the weather is perfectly fine for them to go to school. It's a little maddening as a parent such as myself. Now this happens again because the school's anticipating they built in days to be canceled throughout winter. Now luckily in my household, our jobs are very flexible, so this doesn't affect us as some other people when they have to go into work. And it's sort of nice because we also work from home, so we can generally sleep in an extra 30 minutes or so. Now for those of you who don't work from home, a lot of times the parents are going to stay home and they're going to work from the house for the day, or they're going to just leave their kids at home, depending on their age, of course, or they're just going to take their kids to work. Now, I did mention that you, adults, you need to pay attention to snow days because the snow is going to affect you as well. Well, not like your kids staying home is not going to affect you. But it doesn't matter how prepared you are or how on top of things you are with the snow. The snow is going to throw you a curveball. Now, maybe the snow took out some trees and they fell across your driveway. Or maybe the wind blew and created this massive snowbank in front of your garage. Or quite possibly your snow equipment broke just before the storm came and you have to hand shovel or ask your neighbor for assistance. Now, all this has happened to me and your day will instantly get turned upside down and you're just going to have to deal with it. And quite honestly, I love that. For 30 years in Arizona, I woke up and the weather was sunny, hot, hotter, or too damn hot. For me, it was a little monotonous. And guess what? Everyone's going to understand if you're going to be a little late or you can't make that event because the weather affected them or they've already had it happen to them in the past. They understand. So don't freak out if it totally messes up your day and you have appointments that you have to cancel. The third thing that you need to know is daylight savings. Unfortunately, North Idaho practices in this evil time change. So in the springtime, we jump up an hour, and in the fall, we lose an hour. Springtime, in my opinion, is a lot harder to make that adjustment, and I think it's because of the sleep cycle. I think it's hard to go to bed at 8 o'clock when your body is used to it really being 7 o'clock. So in the summertime, we jump up an hour, and you're going to notice it's starting to get very bright around 5 o'clock. And the sun doesn't set until very late at night. I'm talking like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. In fact, the 4th of July, they don't start shooting off the fireworks until between 10:30 and 11 o'clock. And I recommend investing in some blackout shades if you have a hard time going to sleep when the light is out. Now, the opposite is true when we fall back an hour in the fall time. It starts getting dark very, very early, like 3 o'clock, not that early, 3:30 in the afternoon. And when you're done eating dinner at 5:30, 6 o'clock, it's going to feel like it's midnight because it's going to be pitch black outside. If you like maintaining your privacy and you don't like everyone and their uncle knowing how much you paid for your house or how much you sold your house for, well, you're going to love the fact that Idaho is a non-disclosure state. This means when you either sell or buy a house, the only information that the public can see is the last listing price. Not even the county will know what you paid or sold your house for unless you offer that information up to them. When you buy a house in Idaho, the county is going to send you a series of letters asking how much you paid for the home. They make this seem mandatory by hounding you, by sending you these series of letters. Personally, all they really provided you was a really good fire starter or toilet paper. Most people choose not to fill these forms out and send them back because the county is going to more than likely, very likely, going to assess your value much lower than what you actually paid for. And that means that your tax liability, your property tax liability is going to be lower. So I recommend you throw those letters away, and when you receive your first assessed value letter, if it's more than what you paid for, then go ahead and reach out to the county, share what you paid for the home. On a quick side note, automated market value numbers for homes, companies like Zillow with their Zestimates, Redfin, and any of those programs that's going to spit out the value of your home in a matter of seconds, they're not accurate. They do not have access to the actual purchase price or sale price of a home. And it's very probable that those numbers that they're spitting out at you are going to be inaccurate. It is best to talk to a realtor such as myself when you're buying or selling a house to see what the true value is. On to number 5. I would say the odds of you moving to Idaho and bringing a vehicle with you is very high. If your vehicle has never been registered in Idaho, you will need to bring your vehicle to the DMV. That way they can do a visual VIN inspection. If you own the vehicle outright, make sure you bring your out-of-state title with you. But if you do have a lien or a lease on the vehicle, make sure you download the lien letter from the DMV website and submit that form to be completed by your lien holder. That way they can release the lien from the state that you're moving from and move it title into Idaho. Now, once you get notification via mail, of the change of the title, then you can bring the vehicle to the DMV to complete the registration process. Obviously, make sure you bring your driver's license or social security card with you. One thing that I found surprising when I registered my vehicle for the first time, Idaho only does 1 or 2 year registrations, unlike Arizona where they had a 5-year registration. I will say, even for a newer high-end vehicle, the registration fees are a lot lower than they were in Arizona. And I've heard from people that have moved from California, Washington, and Oregon that the registration fees are lower here as well. So that's a huge bonus. And here's another little bonus for you. If you purchase a vehicle from an individual here in Idaho, a bill of sale has to be created, and the total sale price needs to be on that bill of sale. And the current owner and you have to sign it. The title needs to have the signature of the current owner and your signature. You as the new owner of the vehicle, when you go to register the vehicle with the DMV, you're going to be charged a sales tax. Now, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a CPA, I'm not a tax person, and this certainly is not advice, but I have heard that the buyer and the seller of a personal vehicle sale will get creative in the total compensation, which is going to be reflected in the bill of sale of a smaller purchase price. That way when the buyer goes to register, it has a lower number on it. If you like this video, make sure you watch my video on the pros and cons of living in Sandpoint. I also want to hear from you, so leave me a comment down below and let me know which of these 5 things you didn't know and which is the biggest surprise to you.